Hello and welcome back to the Loyal Sun Show. That's at the Loyal Suns on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Follow us there and follow us here for Pitt sports content you will not want to miss. If you love tiny little numbers and hate short runways, this is the place for you. The Loyal Sun Show, a safe, sunshiny place for your Pitt Athletics fix. When you last joined myself, Squid, and Dylan, we were anxiously anticipating the release of the AP poll on early Sunday afternoon. It dropped at 2 p.m., and we were given exactly what we wanted. Your Pitt Panthers are ranked number 22 overall. So let me begin by asking you two, like 22, which is the number that we're ranked. But I digress. Do we take another minute to celebrate our tiny little number? Or is it time to focus up on Cal and we just cut straight to it and say, fuck the rankings?
It's Wednesday now. You're probably listening to this on Thursday. We've soaked in the number. We've enjoyed the number enough. Now it means business. We have to go to war to keep that number and to make that number smaller, tinier even.
Yeah, like Narduzzi said, they don't even talk about it. We don't even need to talk about it. We're all business here. No, we love the ranking. We love seeing that little number next to our name. But yeah, it's passed for me at this point. I'm all in on the next game. I'm more worried about 6-0 than whatever number that could end up being. So I'm looking ahead. Very mature of us to move forward here, but I think we've celebrated our ranking enough this week.
Congratulations to the Loyal Suns. That takes a lot of maturity. No, we can celebrate, on Sunday if, like as Squid put it, the little number gets littler. And
what'll happen is the next time we talk about the number, hopefully it'll be us being mad it's not as tiny as we'd like it to be. Then we'll talk about the numbers. But for now, we're all right.
You're exactly correct, Squid. Being good at college football is all about winning the right to get pissed off about being disrespected.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll begin this by asking, are you guys starting to feel things you've only ever felt in 2021 again? I don't want to compare. A little, like you're recognizing some of the stimuli within yourself.
Well, so one thing that kind of popped out at me this week was our very own QB1 Eli Holstein. He was named the Walter Camp Offensive Player of the Week nationally. That wasn't a conference award, not a freshman award, but the Walter Camp Association named him the National Offensive Player of the Week. So the best player in college football offensively last week. That's a pretty big deal. I think obviously we've seen the numbers Eli's been putting up, the comebacks, whatever it is. He's become already a bit of a folk hero here in Pittsburgh with the win in the backyard brawl. But more and more lists he's popping up on a top 10 Heisman list. National media putting his name out there as, Pitt. They've got a real good freshman quarterback that's transferred from Alabama. I listened to the College Football Inquirer a good bit, and those guys, they give out a small sample Heisman every week, and last week one of them gave it to Eli Holstein. So we have a quarterback now who is generating a ton of national buzz, which, well, only time I've felt quite like this about a quarterback generating national recognition was that 2021 season.
Well, the difference is, I don't know if Kenny Pickett was getting Heisman buzz this early in the season nationally. I know as Pitt fans, we knew the numbers he was putting up and how good he looked for years and years. But at that point, we knew it was coming together. It took a while for the rest of the nation to pick up on it because at this time in 2021, we were 4-1 and just 2 weeks removed from a loss to a MAC school at home. So although we saw a good bounce back, I think it took Pitt fans 2 weeks to be like, hey, this could still happen maybe. And then we weren't on the national media's radar until maybe that Clemson game. So we're one of the last, is it still 12 undefeated teams?
Yeah, I think it's 12 or 13, something like that. Yep.
So this, although we are feeling a similar way, is different.
So, Squid, you're exactly correct. And I want to be very clear about something. I am not comparing those teams. I am not calling this team the second coming of that magical 2021 season, because that is a very excellent way to, one, look stupid, two, mush the hell out of your football team. What I'm saying, and I think you guys are on top of this as well, I am feeling all of the things that I had forgotten I felt during the 2021 season. That feeling of starting to see your football team and your best players creep into the national attention, starting to get a little bit pissed off at perceived slights. Oh, are we not ranked high enough? This analyst, threw a little bit of shade, disregarded us, or this one didn't mention us at all. And above all, the big trigger for me, the reason I'm even bringing this up, is I did this thing in 2021 where I was insatiable for Pitt content, anything that said Pitt's name, any metric on ESPN, whether I agreed with the foundations of FPI or SP Plus or not, every article, just name searching players and the word Pitt on Twitter and on Google, consuming every bit of content, constantly updating ESPN, constantly updating The Lair, constantly updating The Athletic, just getting every bit of Pitt content I can, to the detriment of my sleep schedule, my personal relationships, and my job. Just a voracious appetite for all things Pitt, because everyone's steady. We have a chance.
Yeah,
we
I
have
don't know what
worked
to
our
do.
way into a conversation.
I don't know how to feel. And I feel it's better than being extremely nervous. I am nervous, but I'm also like, whoa. Yeah, we are undefeated. I just watched the Pitt Live Wire, and in it, Pat Narduzzi said, you've got one shot to go 1-0 this week. Don't let them take that away from you. And I just thought of that on a bigger scale. Like, yeah, all it takes is one slip up. We haven't been this far in forever. I certainly haven't seen them go this far. So we are just kind of in the twilight zone, I guess.
For me, it's our expectations were so low coming into the season. We were, even if this is our normal optimistic baseline, we are all the way down there. So it's taken a few games to even get back up to our baseline of overly optimistic Pitt fan. And for me, it was, hey, can we win some games, and can this offense look like a real college football offense? Like, I want to see it look like the other teams we watch on Saturdays. And not only has that come true, but like, we have one of the best offenses in the country. We have an offense that other teams are trying to hold the ball and keep the ball away from us and go for it on fourth down, because they know they need to score a ton of points to have a chance to beat us, the Pitt Panthers. So
it's usually the other way around.
Right.
We're the ball sitters.
Yeah, we're used to trying to dominate time of possession, shorten the game, sit on our balls. And here we are, 5 games into the season, and Pitt's offense is something to be reckoned with. Can't say enough about Cade Bell. Like, he's just rejuvenated me and a good bit of this fan base. And damn, I'm excited for the rest of the season. Like, 5-0 is not even something that is ever on our radar.
No.
Like, we do our season preview and we look through it together and we go, okay, well, they'll definitely drop one of these. Even if it's not to a good
which out of
team.
conference game are they going to inexplicably lose or explicably lose?
I'm pretty positive we said it was more likely that we lost both of our Power 5 non-conference games and winning both.
Yeah.
Like, let alone split.
And we won them, and with each passing week, it's becoming clear that those teams might have even been a little bit better than we thought. Both Cincinnati and West Virginia are top 30 defenses. West Virginia's only losses are to a top 5 team and ranked Pitt and number 22 Pitt. Cincinnati's losses are to ranked Pitt and Texas Tech, who I don't think is ranked, but sneaky should be. And they lost by a field goal in a game that I think they did something stupid to blow it. I don't recall. But like, our wins are starting to look better. Like, this might not be a fluke. And while I will say, if we go 8-4, 9-3, I won't be upset. It will still greatly exceed my expectations, and the best teams we have to play are still in front of us. But I am, and I really hesitate to say this, starting to get teensy little team of destiny vibes, especially considering our 2 marquee wins this year were nothing short of miraculous.
That hit me today too. Somebody tweeted Pitt's remaining schedule and said if they go 4-3 down the stretch, which is not an impressive way to finish the season by any stretch of the imagination, they will finish with 9 wins. And I was like, wait, 9 wins is good. Finishing 4-3 is bad. So if we don't finish that bad, like, where do I set the bar from here on out? So I just stopped thinking about it entirely and was like, okay, I got to watch some highlights of Cal to do some scouting that'll definitely help the team this week.
Like, imagine going into a bowl with a shot at 10 wins. And now imagine getting in a time machine and telling Squid 6 weeks ago that Pitt was going to be going into a bowl with a chance to win 10 games.
And here's the thing. We'll probably be mad if that happens because we're like, damn, if we just didn't drop that one to SMU or Syracuse.
Whoa. All right, let's not start speaking this into existence.
We shouldn't be.
But in theory, we would be upset if we stumble down the finish line and only finish with that.
It's hard to hold. It's hard to hold both of those thoughts in your brain at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, 9 wins would be an objective victory for the program and also a little bit of a disappointment because of how hot we started. And to you, the listener that is getting pissed off at us for
I'm getting pissed off at us.
Oh yeah, I'm getting pissed off at us too. I think what I'm trying to do to myself and maybe by extension to the rest of you is like manage my expectations so that if Pitt continues to ride the little team of destiny vibes that they've been given through 5 games.
Saying that so much.
I'm sorry. In the grand scheme of things, nothing I say matters. But if Pitt continues to win and we have managed our expectations, think of how insane that is going to feel. Think of how the city is going to be buzzing.
Calling you right now.
I am begging us to move on. Can we talk about Cal? Any final thoughts before we talk about the Bears?
No, you said it best.
See you Saturday, neighbors. Did you guys see Narduzzi's Mr. Rogers promo that the Pitt football account put out today?
I would love to know which person on the social media team had to ask Pat Narduzzi to do that.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the video, it's basically a not quite shot-for-shot remake of the intro to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but shows like a clip of the incline. Then they go into the facility, and Narduzzi throws on a Pitt stitched cardigan and sits down, throws his shoes on, says, "See you Saturday, neighbors." And the whole time I'm watching it, I'm just like giggling to myself because I'm like, how did they convince Pat Narduzzi to do this? Is Narduzzi going soft on us?
You know what should make you feel better? Knowing that Mr. Rogers, typically when he does the whole sweater and shoes bit, he's singing the Will You Be My Neighbor song. And I just want you to picture that same social media intern or student going to Pat and being like, hey, so you'll sing the song, right? And Pat going, shut the hell up. Absolutely not. So he's still got his edge to him. That's why the entire first 55 of 60 seconds of the video are in dead silence. So he's still in there somewhere.
I don't know, man. Dudes is maybe it's. I mean, being 5-0 gives you good feelings. You can do those type of things. I don't think that anyone was asking him to do that last year after he had to bench his quarterback a few games into the season. I sure as hell hope they weren't asking him to do that. But yeah, one of our friends put it in the group chat, said that Narduzzi's like the old, like grumpy dog that's like nearing the end of its days, and you just get them a young puppy to make them happy and like cheer them up, chase them around, add a few years onto their life expectancy. Yeah, that was Pat Narduzzi with getting Cade Bell. Cade Bell just put a little pep in his step. He's watching them score points. Narduzzi said in the presser last week, because a lot of people were asking like, oh, did you like how they managed the tempo, like burning some clock there? Were you surprised that they were taking some shots at the end zone? And Narduzzi said Cade Bell told him, he's like, Coach, we're going to score a touchdown here. And Narduzzi's like, all right, man, go score a touchdown. And I'm like, whoa, Pat Narduzzi isn't cussing out his OC about like throwing the ball up a score in field goal range right before the 2-minute timeout. Like, I don't know. I think Cade Bell has brought out a little bit of something in Narduzzi.
Yeah, and it was probably really like the old dog, young pup metaphor you just brought up, because whenever Cade Bell first came to Pitt, I'm sure he was jumping on Narduzzi, trying to get him to play while he was trying to wind down and just chew on a bone. But we're 6 weeks into the season, and they're both running around the backyard playing fetch, chasing squirrels. Like, life is good. Just took a few wins to get him there. Couple 4 touchdown game, 300-yard performances that Pat Narduzzi forgot existed.
The metaphor is especially apt because Cade Bell is certainly keeping Pat Narduzzi from being sent to a farm upstate.
So Cal.
So before we get to Cal, I think we each need a couple please wins, because I'm envisioning all of our friends absolutely shitting on us the second this drops Thursday morning for all of the optimism that we espoused in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah,
we usually
get optimistic and think about the future for like 15, 20 seconds, then catch ourselves. We went pretty long there before we caught ourselves. So please just
we got carried away. Please win.
Please beat this Cal team that has to travel all the way across the country.
Please. Okay. So let's talk about this Cal team that's traveled all the way across the country. What do we know about the 2024 Cal Golden Bears?
Coming into the year, I knew who Jaden Ott was. I knew he was a very talented running back, but overall, I wasn't sold on how good of a football team they were. And then as of like a week or two ago, I thought it was flipped. I'm like, well, Cal might be pretty good, even though Jaden Ott is having a very weirdly subpar year. And now, after their loss to Miami, I'm even more clueless. They were good enough to go up 35-10 in Miami, but they were bad enough to lose the game. I have no clue what to think. Any other scouting points or points of optimism or pessimism?
I don't know if this is optimistic, pessimistic, or just a general observation, but The team coming into Acrisure this weekend was literally like the face of college football last weekend. They had their first ever college game day. They were playing a top 10 Miami team who at this point is expected to probably win the ACC, if not win it, at least play for the ACC championship in Charlotte. And they had them dead to rights. And they were beating the piss out of them. It was going to be a fairy tale ending, probably going to set up a ranked matchup, even though they have the other loss against Florida State, but probably set up a ranked matchup this week just because, I mean, the media attention around them in Cal and the early opening for College Game Day, Marshawn Lynch, like they were quite literally the stars of the show on Saturday. And then they blew it in embarrassing fashion. So I don't know how you rebound from that as a program like Cal. Like, on one hand, if they would have won the game, I might be saying now, oh, they're coming off an emotional high. Like, there's no way they can get back up for a game this week. After a loss, is that even more deflating? Like, they're in a weird spot, but there is a lot of eyes on them, I feel like, and it makes the 3:30 spot on ESPN. I feel like this will have a lot of eyeballs on it. You've got the buzz around Eli on our end. So I don't know, still feels like a pretty big game for one team that's 3-2 with a pretty bad loss to Florida State.
So
also they should have won that game.
Yes, absolutely should have won that game. They should have won both the games that they lost. But I think I don't want to sit here and like defend Florida, but I think even as terrible as they are, we knew there was going to be one or two games this year where they just out 5-star a team, where they beat a team that they shouldn't, just because it's like, oh yeah, we are bigger, faster, and stronger than this team. So I think that might have been what happened against Cal. Not to completely write it off, but writing it off a little bit. They sacked Mendoza 7 times, so that'll do it in a 14-9 win. They're a hard team to gauge. I think that they're another ball sitter team. Even before the season, that was my understanding of them. They had a good running back and a strong defense, and they were going to sit on the ball. So I think Pitt fans should be prepared to see exactly what they did against Cincy and against North Carolina. A run-first offense and a stout defense that's going to try to keep the ball out of Eli Holstein's hands. So make of that what you will. We won both those games.
What scared me, I don't know if they're a ball-sitting team. Sometimes they don't throw a whole lot, but they have big plays. So last week, they had 25 rushes for 73 yards. That's under 3 yards a carry. Pretty terrible. But they had a 57-yard pass go for a touchdown, a 66-yard screen pass go for a touchdown, a 56-yard pass, a 51-yard pass. And just going back to even some of the games they've lost, like a 46-yard pass. Against Auburn, they had big plays. So that's what scares me. They just kind of chip, and go the length of the field.
Yeah, they lull you to sleep a little bit. Squid, you mentioned earlier that Jaden Ott hasn't played very well this season. Right now, he's averaging 2.9 yards a carry, only has 135 rushing yards. I know he's banged up a little bit, but quite frankly, that kind of scares me. Like, he has to break out at some point if he is remotely healthy. Like, this is a guy who ran for 1,300 yards last year. He was like the face of the Cal team coming into the season. Kind of scares me, especially we've given up $150 to Corey Kiner. Donaldson and White had decent games on the ground, just coming off of Marion Hampton running the ball down our throats for 3 quarters. So scares me a little bit that they're going to find their mojo in the running game against us. So we'll see. We'll see if that defensive line steps up. It was a big topic of discussion for us last week. And like you said, Mendoza, I don't think he's a future NFL guy, but he can make the throws when they need him to make them. They put him in good spots to make some of those explosive plays. Look back at the play action that went for a score last week. Nothing crazy, but they put him in spots to make those plays. So Pitt's going to have to be disciplined. They did a pretty good job last week of not giving up too many explosives. I think Pat Narduzzi said they only gave up 4, which is what they aim to give up weekly. So might be the magic number there.
That's what I was going to say. I think it has to be similar to last week's game where you can tell UNC if you're going to take the underneath stuff and run for 4 yards a carry, we'll eventually get some stops. Just don't let Hampton go for 60 and don't let somebody beat you deep. I guess you just have to trust your defense to be better than their quarterback. I think Mendoza is absolutely better than Criswell, so that worries me a little bit that we can't just play the same, we'll just keep everything underneath, because I think he's good enough to make more throws. I mean, especially if we give him as much time as Criswell had last week.
And what we're also forgetting is that, odd or not, they're still going to be odd or not, they're still going to be able to run the ball, because Javion Thomas has emerged as a serious runner while Ott recovers and otherwise plays poorly. He is their leading rusher. He's averaging about 6.5 yards a carry. So they are going to be able to move ball on the ground against Pitt, probably. The difference is just, are we going to be able to play the same bend but don't break style that we have been successful with thus far in the season?
Also licking my chops at what Cade Bell saw on the film in the fourth quarter of that last game. What was working for Miami? I'm sure Cade Bell's watched it 100 times and has a few home run hitters just in his pocket ready to go.
I love that all of our previews now basically come down to, do we think Pitt can outscore this team and our defense can be like just okay enough, as opposed to the inverse? Like, imagine if we were the Steelers. Like, imagine watching the Steelers. We are the opposite of the Steelers. That is awesome. We score a lot of points, and defense is kind of like the afterthought of the equation.
Just kind of wrapping things up on Cal. Squid, you are correct. It's a matter of, can the defense hold on long enough to let our mega turbo offense, win the game? Cal is very good at creating turnovers. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they are one of the best in the country right now at creating turnovers. And a little sneak peek at the Sportsbook. I think Pitt's going to win this game, but the alternative universe where Cal beats us at home is they do the sit on the ball kind of thing, run effectively on us, keep the ball out of Holstein's hands, hit a couple deep shots like Mendoza can, but a couple takeaways, keep the ball out of Eli's hands even longer, keep points off the board, and maybe even demoralizes the team a little bit if Cal can hit some shots. So there is an alternative where we don't protect the ball and they succeed in continuing their turnover luck on the Cal side, and that's what does us in. So I'll be very, very curious if a little bit of ball protection sneaks its way into Cade Bell's game plan. I'm not saying don't take your shots. I'm not saying, don't dig into your bag of tricks, but just a little bit more caution towards things that are more likely to produce turnovers and avoiding those, or at least emphasizing it in practice this week.
The Loyal Sons stat department just told me that Cal is 7th in the country at turnovers gained. So they have 11 interceptions, which is the most.
Noel Williams defensive back, has 5 interceptions on the season.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It looks like San Diego State threw
5
2.
games?
Yep.
UC Davis threw 3. They threw 1. So
That one's
Cam Ward threw that one horrible one back across the field. So I think that's something we have to worry about to begin with, no matter who we're playing. Thankfully, with Holstein, it's kind of been a one and done. Like, he throws his one, and before he even gets off the field, he's like, yep, that's got to be better, and it usually works out. So can't be giving away too many of those to this opportunistic Cal defense.
So maybe that's our key to the game, is protecting the football. High and tight. Stop throwing one red zone out route directly to the cornerback every game. But just do the part where after you throw that terrible pick, you just play lights out the rest of the game. Like, make that rest of the game your entire game, Eli.
Very football guy of us to make the key of the game protecting the ball.
We are what we are. Yeah.
All right. Is it sportsbook time?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, time for the Loyal Sons Sportsbook. As you know, if you listen on a regular basis, this is how we like to preview the upcoming Saturday's game. So basically, we'll give a few game props that we made up. Didn't pull this from any online sportsbook, anything like that. Basically, we'll give an over-under, first touchdown score. Ultimately, we'll give our predictions in terms of a score prediction. And want to remind everyone, this is not for student athletes. Anyone can participate, but not student athletes. But like, if you do, it probably just ends up being fine anyway. So with that being said, I would like to dedicate this first prop of the week to our good friend, Rodney Hammond. For no reason in particular, I would dedicate this to Rodney Hammond. We saw him get back on the field last week against North Carolina. Very minor role, 4 carries, 9 yards. Looked like they tried to get him a touchdown there down near the goal line. Ultimately couldn't punch it in. Eli ultimately punched it in on that play. But we're going to go touches here. Rodney Hammond, over or under 9.5 touches on Saturday. Squid?
9.5's a lot, because I think we throw the ball a ton. So I'm going to say under, but I do think we're going to use Rodney a good bit, and mainly because the Cal run defense hasn't been that good. I'm just looking at the last 2 games. Florida State ran the ball pretty well against them. Miami's top running back was, I just pressed the wrong button, 11 carries for 81 yards, and that wasn't even Damian Martinez. He had a good game himself. So I think Pitt might be running it a little bit more than usual, but not enough. Eli's going to be out there slinging it, so I'll say under, but more than last week.
I think I'm going to go under as well. If I can make a really specific prediction, I think Pitt's going to run the ball poorly this weekend, but still win. And we're going to be very excited about the win, but it's going to start a new panic of, oh my God, can this team not run the ball? Like, what are we going to do when we play a defense that has better corners and we can't run the ball? So for that reason, and I just think Hammond looked very, very not ready to play in a full contact football game last week. Just sort of took 4 handoffs and ran into the back of the line. So I think they're still going to keep him a little shelved. So I'll go under.
Well, it's no fun if we all go under. And I do see more of a broadened role for Rodney. I mean, I think they only got the official word that he was going to be eligible Wednesday during game week last week. So it was like, what, you get a couple. I know he's been practicing with the team, but it was more as a scout team guy. So yes, he knows the offense, but I think another week of actually involving him in the game planning Once again, we've had the discussion about Desmond Reed's workload, maybe lighten that workload a little bit. Maybe we see the closer role come back for Rodney Hammond as we saw he kind of took over in the 2021 season. So I'm going to go over here. My one hesitation here, and this was something I didn't catch during the game. I didn't notice that anyone else caught it either, on whether it was in our group chat or on Twitter. But I went back and watched the condensed game, and on Eli Holstein's rushing touchdown, Rodney goes to throw a block, completely whiffs, but it doesn't matter because Eli just walks into the end zone. But you see, he kind of grabbed the back of his right leg, like he might have just pulled a hammy.
So you're doing insider trading right now?
Well, I went over, so this would be the worst insider trading of all time.
Oh, that's right, you did.
So it's just, I'm saying it's something to watch out for because, and I didn't really make note of it, of him going back in the game or not, but Desmond Reed was the one on the field late in the game, but also why wouldn't he be? But just something to keep an eye on. Go back. If you want to see what I'm talking about, go watch the condensed game and watch Eli Holstein's rushing touchdown. He kind of grabs the back of his leg. The guys are celebrating, and he's kind of standing there just slowly moving off the field. So all that just to say I'm going over. Okay, next. Going to the running back on the other side of the ball. Guy we've mentioned a couple times here has struggled this year. Jaden Ott. Is he going to go over or under 80.5 rushing yards on Saturday? Now, does this line smell funny to you guys? Is it you smell a rat here? I mean, this guy only has $135 on the season. What's going on with this one?
He is explosive, so he could have a mediocre game and then just get that 150-yarder, and he's getting the over. So from that perspective, makes you think. But in contrast to Pitt, just looking through some box scores, it looks like Cal utilizes a bunch of different guys to run the ball, and it doesn't matter who's getting it. They're going to use guys different ways. Using the passing game a lot too. So I'm going to say under. I know they had some issues with Hampton in the first half last week. I think we'll be a little bit better in the run game this week. I know Dews and Randy Bates didn't let them celebrate too much after putting up nearly 90 yards in the first half to Hampton. So let's buckle it up.
Under. Again, he is not the best running back on this team. He was last year. He is not this year. If this were Javion Thomas, it'd be a different conversation. But I'm going under on Ott.
I'm going to go under as well, and Vegas might just clean us up on this one. So we'll see how this plays out for the reasons you guys mentioned. But I don't know. Line smells a little funky, even for the guy who put it together. All right, next, our QB1, Eli Holstein, has thrown for exactly 3 touchdowns in all 5 of his career starts. But this is total touchdowns here I want to talk about. Over under 3.5 total touchdowns for Eli Holstein on Saturday. So passing, rushing, who knows, maybe even catching one out of the backfield. David, why don't you start us with this one?
Really hoping to go last.
It's tough.
I'll go first again. I'm taking the over. Cade Bell is not going to stop slinging the football. Neither is Eli Holstein. And Poppy Williams isn't going to start getting covered. This is who we are. I'm going over.
Let me go over. I'll take next in the rotation here. Eventually, Eli he can't just throw for exactly 3 touchdowns in every game, right?
Yeah, he threw 4 last week.
No, he threw 3. Oh, wait.
If we're talking about total, sorry. He had 4 last week.
Yeah, so eventually he has to throw for a different number than 3. And it ain't going to be 2 or 1.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll probably just be 4. And maybe he'll run for another one.
I love that logic.
That's called the gambler's fallacy. If you flip a coin 5 times and it lands on tails 5 times, what are you betting the 6th time?
Heads. It'll be heads eventually, right?
Exactly, but statistically, that's not correct. It's still, for every flip, has a 50% chance of landing either heads or tails. So I'm going to go under.
You sound like one of those nerds went to Cal Berkeley.
Oh, I could never get into Cal Berkeley, nor would I ever go to college in Northern California. I like Northern California, just not for my late teenage years. Anyway, I'm going to go under. Yeah, just because I'm going to go under.
All right. And one more prop for you boys. And this one's a little different. I put some more creative odds here because we haven't typically it's first touchdown score 1 point, 2 points if we nerf someone, but wanted to give us a little more flexibility on this one. So who do you think will be the leading pass catcher for Pitt? So that is whoever has the most receptions in the game Saturday against Cal. So the options here, the guys at plus 100, this gets you 1 point in Loyal Sun Sportsbook terms. Kanade Mumpfield or Desmond Reed being the leading pass catcher, both get you 1 point. Sincerely, Poppy Williams or Kenny Johnson being the leading pass catcher gets you 2 points. Our good friend Gavin Bartholomew, who still is kind of MIA in this offense, gets you 3 points. And any other player you want to pick will get you 5 points. So you have some options here. There's some value plays, maybe some safer plays. So a lot of different directions you can go. Let me know what you think. I'll leave the floor open to whoever wants to hop in first.
Question. Can we get the current standings so we know if we need to take chances or not? Do we have that tabulated?
I tried to do it real quick. Entering last week, you and Dylan each had 12, and I had 9. And
okay. So it sounds like you're going to have to guess Day Reynolds.
Perhaps not.
So we don't have a calculation for current standings?
Nope.
It's part of the fun.
All right. I'm going to assume I did great last week. And that I don't need to go for it all here. So give me Mump. If I was a gambler's fallacy guy, I would say surely at some point Kenny Johnson needs to have another 6-catch, 110-yard game because he sort of disappeared the last couple weeks. I don't know if you guys have noticed. But yeah, give me Mumpfield. It feels like the most likely outcome. And they're going to key on Dez. They see him coming out of the backfield. They're going to send a safety on him or something.
Nobody had a particularly good week last week. We all had about the same. 2 or 3 apiece. So no real separation gained or lost. Let me pull up the most receptions.
While you're doing that,
I'll go with Kenny Johnson.
Okay.
I feel like I am going to swing the fences a little bit because I think Mumpfield is the receptions guy, but Kenny Johnson was targeted a lot. He's all or nothing these games. So last week he didn't look too hot. This week I think he's going to bounce back and get open a bunch.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I think Kenny Johnson is prime for a big game. Also feels a little bit like they there are some plays that are very intentional about getting the ball to Kenny Johnson. Like the last week, they ran a little jet. He ran in motion. They just hit him for a quick screen, picked up about 8 yards. Also bring him in motion a good bit. They've given him a couple handoffs there, but also think there's some pop passes in play. So it's like they know the talent is there. So there's definitely a concerted effort to get him the ball. Since we're here, I just want to mention this stat. So there are currently 6 offensive players with 14 or more catches this season. Desmond Reed has the most catches on the team with 24, Kanade Mumpfield 23, Kenny Johnson 17, Sincere Lee 16, Poppy Williams 15, Gavin Bartholomew 14. So that's 6 players with 14 or more catches. You guys want to guess how many players had 14 or more catches on last year's team?
I don't want to, but I will.
4.
Close. It was 5.
5. Damn it.
There were 5 guys. Mumpfield, Bub Means, Dejon Reynolds, Gavin Bartholomew, Kenny Johnson. Kenny Johnson had 15 catches for 122 yards all of last season. And he's up to 17 for 224 this year. So much more productivity, just 5 games in. All that being said, I'm going to go Poppy Williams. Poppy's been just very consistently solid for this offense. He has, he's scored what now? 4 touchdowns on the season. He's taken a couple shots, like on catches over the middle, where he just gets drilled and pops right back up. Has to be developing some trust from Eli Holstein. Definitely think Mumpfield's his favorite target. And then Des Reed, obviously going to get a ton of touches out of the backfield anyway. But feels like Cal has to be watching that tape and saying, well, we can't let that happen. So give me Poppy Williams here for 2 points. All right. Give me a first touchdown score. Desmond Reed still worth 1 point. All other players still worth 2. And we can maybe get a little more flexible on this in coming weeks. For people who need to play some catch up, maybe throw a defensive special teams touchdown out there. Defense special teams get you 5. Maybe a Dejon Reynolds gets you 3, something like that. But for this week, Desmond Reed 1, any other player 2, defense special teams get you 5.
I think I once guessed Eli Kasanovich and got it would have counted towards a 10-pointer for some historical context.
Might have gave you like 100 for that one, to be honest.
Yeah. It was a week where we did not know who the starting quarterback would be.
Fun.
Give me Rodney Hammond. I don't think he'll have 10 carries or 10 touches. I don't even think he'll be incredibly effective, but I think they will get down to the goal line and say, like, hey, buddy, see one go in.
Would love that.
And I think there's going to be a reluctance to tell Des Reed, hey, go run headfirst into that pile of humanity right now.
I was so close to taking Gavin. I could see this being a week where Cade Bell's like, haha, I fooled you. We still have this guy who's really good. We just haven't used him yet for this exact reason.
We've been saying that for 3 years.
Yes, but I'm going to go with Mumpfield.
Give me I'm big on Poppy Williams this week. That's 4 touchdowns. That's as many receiving touchdowns as anyone on the team right now. So give me Poppy, and I'll just be hoping for a big day for him. But yeah, Squid, if you were going to pick Bart, I was just going to reiterate the fact to you that he still has not scored this season, despite I think someone picking him as a first touchdown scorer every single week. So I think he's on my no bet list for the. Maybe we've just been mushing him for 2.5 years, and that's the problem.
Bart, you are now free.
Apologies for all we've put you through. All right, it's prediction time. Last I checked the line, little before we started recording, I saw to Pitt was -3.5. The over-under was sitting at 58.5 on DraftKings. So fellas, where do we see this game going this weekend? Give me a score prediction. Does anyone want to go first? I can go first if you guys would like.
Go for it.
Okay. So, if this 2024 iteration of the Pitt Panthers has shown us anything, it's that they can score and score in bunches. Typically, teams who can score and score in bunches can blow out their opponents. However, this team has done a ton of that, particularly against Power 4 competition. So, I'm expecting another close game. I don't think they're capable of giving us an easy Saturday, especially sitting at 5-0. My brain can't comprehend us going in there and winning an easy 2-score game. I just can't feel it right now. So I do think the Pitt Panthers pull it out. I think this team is starting to show that they're really good and they have some guts. They've shut out their opponents in 4 out of 5 fourth quarters this season. So this is a defense that has gotten better as the game goes on. Give me a 31-27 win for your Pittsburgh Panthers over the Calgorithm Bears. Might take some late game heroics from Eli Holstein again. But I mean, he's done it a couple times at this point. It's nothing. It's nothing. That's fried chicken. So, ain't going to be easy, but we get out of Acrisure with a win and get the 6-0 for the first time since 1982.
You want it or you want me to go, David?
You go ahead.
Okay. I don't know how or why, but I feel like this is going to be the final score, and I'm like very sure of it. It's like it can't have been a dream or something. I'm going Pitt 34, Cal 24. I think it'll be similar to last week where we're not perfect on the defensive side of the ball. They move it up and down. They get in the end zone here and there, but our offense is too much for them to keep up with.
I don't know if you saw that in a dream or if you've just watched the condensed game from last week 30 times, and then that was the final score.
Yeah.
Could be both.
Could be. It just feels like such a 2024 Pitt football score. And also, I just want to talk myself into not being stressed out, biting my nails with 45 seconds on the clock.
I have Pitt covering. In fact, I have Pitt winning by 2 scores. And I even have like a game script for how it's going to go down, but I haven't decided if it's going to be generally lower scoring or generally higher scoring. Either way, it's just going to be like tied going into the fourth quarter, or we're going to be losing at the start of the fourth quarter, and then just Eli's going to do the fourth quarter thing.
Because of Sweet Caroline, yeah. We know how much
because
you
of
like
Sweet
it.
Caroline, yeah. Getting real juiced up by Sweet Caroline. So it's either going to be like 27-14 or like 41-24. Wait, let me do a quick math real quick. You know what? Let's go 41-24.
Oh, yeah. That's 3 scores. Let's go.
Oh, no. Should I change it? That feels overzealous.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like Cal's up 24-17, and we've just watched the most miserable 3 quarters, and we're all on our hands and knees like dogs. And then Pitt's just like, oh yeah, this is so you throw the ball this way. Oh yeah, we're really good, and then just beats them to hell with hammers.
So we're going to win by 3 scores, but they're still going to put us through 3 quarters of torture.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you say that out loud, I'm pretty confident.
Sounds about
right. Give me 41-24.
Oh, baby. Well, We all picked Pitt to win again. Not a huge shocker there. I mean, why would you? They haven't not won this year.
Mhm.
So I don't know why you'd think anything else would happen.
And just a reminder to everybody listening that the more they win, the more it is paramount for us, all of Pitt faithful, to beg for victory, beg the universe at every moment, at every turn. Please win. We are not begging enough as a fan base. We're getting too confident, and you know what happens after pride? The fall. So beg. Please win.
We'll see you all on Saturday on the North Shore, bright and early. 3:30 kick, that means 10:30 tailgate time. We'll be back in Gold Lot 1B, where it all began. Back to our roots. It's been a while since we've been in that lot. Back in our home stomping grounds. Come down, see us, eat some food, drink some cold beer, get nervous, beg and plead for Pitt to win the game. Most of you, well, I don't know the exact demographics of our listeners, but a good bit of you have never seen a 5-0 Pitt football team play. We haven't. None of us have. So, come down, cheer on your undefeated Pitt Panthers, and hail loyal sons of Pittsburgh.
Please win.
Please win.
Please win the game.